Here we are on beautiful Jones Street.
You saw Ted Jones.
Fellow podcaster, comedian, and a man who wears many hats.
Eagle Scout, too. Eagle Scout.
Eagle Scout?
Eagle Scout, yeah.
So that thing goes back and forth, not up and down.
Oh, okay, so
Understood?
just...
You can like swing it a little bit like that, but just not up and down.
Right there. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. You want to put on the headphones? You don't have to?
Nah, I mean, does it affect you?
Not at all.
All right,
bro.
sweet.
No,
Yeah.
I just love it when somebody's comfortable in their decision to wear headphones or not.
Yeah, I don't like...
I'm monitor over here a little bit. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I don't like hearing my own voice. I did a show one time and the speakers were pointed at me.
Yeah.
Which was just the weirdest thing. Oh, shit, my bad. Yeah. But they were... and then it was just like my voice projecting into my own ears. Yeah. I couldn't even hear the audience.
So how do you sound?
I like it now. I didn't like it at the beginning. I think the first like 100 times I was like,
bro, that was sort of like me. And then, by episode, what are we on? 440. I'm like, yeah, I love the sound of my voice.
Yeah. Now it's too much. Now I'm like, why is this guy not wildly successful? Like, I listen to him like, this is amazing.
Bro, where are you from? Florida?
Yeah, from Orlando or Winter Park. It's like a nice suburb of Orlando.
Oh, okay. So you spent a lot of time at Disney World or what?
Dude, we would go to Universal, and that was like the best time of our lives because it was like your parents could drop you off for like 10 hours, and we would just cause trouble, like flirt with girls all day. It was like I got in like the Jurassic Park area. Yeah, I've had like the best times of my life.
Did you have a pass that you could just go to? It was just a monthly pass?
Dude, it used
or
to
what?
be $100 for the full year, and you could go if you're like a Florida resident. Yeah.
If you were under a certain age, though, or what?
I don't know. I was under a certain age. So
Still getting handies at what, like age 12? It's fresh.
Probably like 14, yeah.
Whoa,
yeah.
and it was from girls who were not from Orlando, or they were like, oh my God, he's the LOKO.
Yeah, well, because it was like you just had all day to like kind of like hit on women, and it was like, not women, but like I wasn't going up.
Chicks.
But one time, dude, I remember there was this one really funny time. I think me and my friends were all 14, and we lied to these girls and said we were like 16, but they were like 18, and we like stole beer for these like college girls, which was like insane. I don't think we ended up fucking those chicks or anything like that, but it was just so funny too because I remember like sexting with that girl, and she's like, "Yeah, I'd give you like a Blumpkin or something like that." And I'm like, this is insane.
Let's go.
Yeah.
You're gonna marry that girl.
Yeah. But I think Florida had a lot of that kind of stuff too, because it was like, whether you're at the beach or a theme park, age isn't like really like, you can, I don't know, it's hard to tell people's age. So it's so easy to lie about your age in places like that. Where it's like here, if you're at like a bar or something like that, it's like, yeah,
you gotta be over 21.
Yeah.
Did you wear sunscreen a lot growing up in Florida?
No,
and
never.
Especially being at Universal, I feel like you're just exposed to the sun quite a bit.
No, dude. I like, I mean, it's probably a problem. I think I age more because I don't put sunscreen on.
I don't know. What are you, the same age as me?
I'm 27.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You bought it. You look fucking 40.
No, dude. But anytime I go to Florida too, like my family just gives me a lot of shit. Oh, make sure you're wearing sunscreen. But if I'm in the sun, what, 80 to 100 days a year, I feel like I'm fine.
Yeah. Well, you got like a good tan.
Well, bro, because I've been going tarps off on the West Side Highway.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Today and yesterday, man, it was beautiful.
Dude, that's what I do when I go back to Florida. I'm like, I'm gonna get some sunlight. I'm gonna get a good base tan. But the thing is, like, I used to get all these moles from like not wearing sunscreen. Like none of this I'm born with, and then I had to get some taken off.
Taken off?
Yeah, I used to have a mole here, and here.
And that was from the sun, the doctor said?
Yeah, all of it.
Damn.
Yeah, it's crazy. But and now it's like I have a lot, and I just cut myself shaving. But it'll probably be bad. Like my mom is like fucked up because she used to be in the sun all the time in Florida, so she's constantly having to get shit taken off.
Well, what did she do that she was in the sun all the time?
She was just a Florida woman,
yeah,
just like at the beach, and like, I mean, and you see those old people there that are just hot dogs,
right?
And but like part of me is like, I kind of want to look like that.
It's a good look,
dude. I've always decided I want like that like look where it's like I want to dress like the guy who runs Jurassic Park. You know what I mean? Like the it's kind of like a tropical kind of shirt.
Jeff Goldblum.
No, the other guy, the guy who has a white beard. He has the little cane with the.
But he's not super tan, is he?
No, but like this is just
pop him up right here. So you want to dress like this guy?
I want to like when I get older, dress like that guy.
Yeah.
Be tan as shit, just because that's how Floridians like. Right. Like really tan. Have like a wife with like giant fake tits.
Yeah. You know what? I only find myself getting really tan when I do go to Florida. Like being in Long Island during the summer, it's just not the same. Like when I go to Florida.
Are you from Long Island?
No, but my dad is out there a little bit, but he also is in Florida. So when I go visit him in Florida and I'm down there for like 4 or 5 days, it's a different tan than I come back with, bro. Like a little peeling, go there from like anytime from December to March, and I'm down there for 3 or 4 days. It's just a different type of tan.
Oh, and it's like, it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
And my parents like will forget that about New York. My dad's like, do you have like a good pair of sunglasses? I'm like,
right.
I don't think you know what New York
Do you
City
wear
is.
sunglasses?
No, like
I
like,
never wear sunglasses.
Occasionally at the beach. But
yeah, I don't really wear them.
I think they look so cool that when I take them off, like I like the way everything looks with them on, that I get annoyed when I take them off. Like especially if I get like one with like a red tint, and I'm like, this is so cool, everything looks red, and then I take it off, I'm like, ugh. I hate the way
the world looks.
Normal.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, people are huge sunglasses people. I'm just one of the, I guess we're some of the rare people who don't appreciate sunglasses that much. In New York, people are always wearing sunglasses. You go to Soho on a Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Bro, the amount of sunglasses you'll see, I tell you that. Like I was walking around yesterday, just everyone got their cool shades on, you know?
Yeah.
Not much of like the Oakley practical look. Like I used when I used to play baseball, that's what I would wear, the Oakleys.
Oh, and they look they look sick. I think the problem with me too is I can't take myself too seriously, and if I wear sunglasses, I'm like, who do I think I am?
Right,
immediately. I'm like,
well, I think if you got like an artsy you know what?
Do you got an artsy pair?
Yeah, dude, try this one. Let's see how you look. These are like my artsy pair. These are like the $40 sunglasses. They're not really sunglasses. Like, wait, let me see. Yeah, they're good. Maybe they're a little bit too big for your face, but they look good.
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
You got like a smaller version of them?
I think like just any pair, I can't do it.
Why?
I don't know.
Is it
I
your
think
face shape? No, I don't think so.
I'll wear them to be goofy. Like I like the Pit Vipers just because they look so over the top.
Oh, right. But those are also baseball type of sunglasses, right?
They're what?
Baseball sunglasses?
Yeah. And I like the way everything looks in them, but I feel so silly wearing them. But I also like I'm one of those people that like I probably should wear sunglasses because I used to like, dude, when I was a kid, my parents would tell me I couldn't stare directly at the sun.
Right.
Which obviously you're not supposed to do.
You know what? I've heard that you theoretically could, but you're not supposed to.
I have.
Like there's there's a guy in Washington Square Park. He's like the guy who looks at the sun and he's just there smiling.
When I was a kid, and they said you can't stare at the sun, I'm very rebellious.
Yeah.
I thought they meant I wasn't capable of doing it.
Right.
So I would just stare at it all the time.
It enlightens you.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, that's what they say. You know, the sun and lightning and shit.
Yeah, but now I close my eyes and I see spots everywhere. Like it's like I think
consistently.
Yeah. I think my eyes are fucked up, but
damn.
Yeah.
So the effects of Florida.
Yeah.
Did you play sports growing up?
I did wrestling. I was pretty bad at it.
Oh, okay.
Or I think I didn't care enough. I don't know. For me, it was like, so you did baseball, right?
Baseball and tennis, yeah.
Were tournaments on, like, the problem is tournaments are on weekends.
Yeah.
And then weekends become more valuable the older you get. So it's like, at the beginning, you're like, oh, this is great. I could be good at sports. And then when you find out you're not going to go to college for it, you're like, ugh, why would I? You're like, I'd rather lose the tournament and go home early. But like, did you like enjoy, like I enjoyed sports for like 3 years and then I stopped enjoying
Sometimes I felt like that. Well, I took tennis pretty seriously. I played tennis in college.
Oh, okay.
So for basically my whole high school existence, I was playing tournaments on the weekends. But there were times, bro, where I was like, all right, I don't really care if I lose this match. I'd rather go to this Saturday night party, which is fucked up.
Yeah,
you know, because like the amount of money my parents spent and put into me playing tennis during the week, and then I would just like tank on the weekends.
Yeah.
Messed up. Like I knew that the tournament, I'd have a match at 4 p.m. Saturday, and then if I won, the next one wouldn't be till like 9 p.m. Saturday.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, maybe I'd just like not win this first one at 4 p.m., which is not a great thought. I don't think I've ever really talked about that, but it's not good. Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
No, you should. It would suck. Well, luckily my parents weren't as invested in my sports, but I kind of did that with college where like I didn't even know I wanted to study and I just kind of pissed their money away with, cause I do stand up now, but I guess I learned a little bit from my degree, but I was like, I literally went to college to party. Like when I was a kid, when I was 10 years old, my dad took me to a fraternity party at Florida State just to show me what it was. And it was just like girls in bikinis, people drinking beer. And I was like, I am going to college.
Did he go to Florida State?
Yeah.
And you went to Florida State?
Yeah.
So it was probably quite the experience.
Oh yeah. And it was the most but it was like that should be a program where they take inner city kids to like fraternity parties and you show them like,
to make them see how great life could be or what?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then I remember like in middle school, like, because I hung out with a lot of druggy kids, we'd be smoking weed. My friends would be like, fuck college, dude. I was like, no, you guys don't know what it is. Right? College is awesome. You want to go there.
Was it pretty easy for you to get into Florida State being a resident in Florida or no? You must have had good grades.
I had decent grades. I was really bad at school, but I took a lot of Adderall, which I was prescribed.
Right.
And I had this tutor who's this Chinese guy from Yale, who's like the smartest guy in the world that I've met. And he would just spend like hours. Like, dude, I would study so much. Like, I had good grades, but school didn't like naturally come to me. It was like a lot of work.
We talked about that briefly. You still sometimes take Adderall.
Yeah.
I took it for like 5 or 6 years and I hated every minute of it, man. It would just zombie me out. And by the time I was, yeah, probably 16 years old, I was just like, I never want to take this again.
Yeah. Well, it is like,
it's just so different for how people react to it, you know?
dude, some people love it
Yeah.
and they're like, they're on it completely. But I think for me, it's like, it's the drug they put me on when I was a kid to make me not silly.
Yeah,
So like,
bro, but it sucked everything out of me.
exactly. It makes you, but my funniest is if I take Adderall like a couple days in a row and then stop, because my brain like has this weird reaction to my energy being caged, that it randomly, like my funniest was like gym class always was like last period for me in like 8th grade or something like that. And my Adderall would wear off like right then. And I was like the funniest person.
Because you take it in the morning and then by the time 8th period came around or whatever.
And it's like my brain was like containing itself for 8 hours.
It was like ready.
An explosion of silliness. And like,
do you still find that it has that effect on you today?
yeah, when it wears off, yeah, but I don't really take it much anymore. But it was like, I remember, dude, we had this like gym coach that would like, I would fuck with him so hard. He'd tell me, he's like, throw your mitt down and run 4 laps. And I would throw my mitt on the ground and run 4 laps around the mitt. Like just to piss this guy off.
Yeah, dude. Gym teachers had it really difficult now looking back. Like,
oh, totally.
Because they wanted people to take it seriously so bad, especially people who had potential. Maybe were you an athletic kid?
No, and that's why they hated me, because like on the football team, which I went to a prep school for middle school, so everybody got on the football team. Like there wasn't like a varsity, or there wasn't a making the team. Like everybody just was on the team. You didn't play if you sucked, and I didn't play at all. I was like 4th string my 8th grade year, and there's 6th graders playing.
What position?
Dude, I was on the line, and I was not big at all. Like I just
offensive, defensive.
Like I think I was offensive, but it was like, I was tiny, and the coaches hated me because I was friends with the good athletes, but I would just I'd fuck around and make them laugh. So like I was like
troublemaker all around, right?
Dude, like our football coach came in one time and I bought everybody energy drinks, and this is at a field trip, and he's just like, do you guys know what these do to your bodies? He's like, you're destroying your bodies with these energy drinks. Like, who bought them for you? Everybody like pointed at me, and I was like, fuck.
What, did you just have like a 12-pack that you bought? Or what?
Yeah, it was like a 12-pack of Monsters. I was like, we're at a field, because that was like drugs at a younger age.
Yeah.
Do
you still drink energy drinks?
Yeah, at a Celsius today. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But I feel like that's maybe more of like a diet energy drink these days. Like I know people who drink Celsius, and I don't think it fucking rattles you up like the Monsters and maybe the Red Bull.
Yeah, I think the sugar and all that stuff was bad too.
Not great. I had a huge Red Bull vodka phase when I was probably like 21 to 25.
Dude,
that's insane.
I love them.
Yeah. You still have some?
Yeah,
dude. I feel like that really cannot be good for you. Having Red Bull vodka.
Your body's like, my body is confused a lot about what I put into it. It's like, what is going, like Red Bull vodka, especially, like, because I'll do it when I'm tired. So like you're tired and you're getting drunk, and like, but it is like a great. Were you ever a Four Loko guy?
Yes, dude. Before they took the caffeine out, it was insane. Like I remember there were kids at college, and if anyone could drink more than 1.5 Four Lokos, chances are you'd be passed out on the rug. Like nobody can ever drink 2 Four Lokos.
Yeah,
just mess you up. But yeah, I remember those Four Loko nights. We used to collect the cans and put it behind the TV so the RAs wouldn't see it. We'd have like watermelon, raspberry, the grape, and everything. It was insane. And those things were like $4.50, if that.
Dude, they're crazy. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have ever had a Four Loko, or now it's I don't want to say watered down, but it's just definitely not what it was with that insane amount of caffeine. They had to take it out because I guess people were probably dying.
Yeah, it was like the original recipe was the equivalency of 4 Red Bulls and 4 beers.
And what was the alcohol even in it?
No. So it was, but it was like you're drinking that all in one can instead of like, so it's like it is what the equivalency to 4 beers and 4 Red Bulls, but because you're drinking,
like the amount of caffeine.
Yeah, the amount, because you're
alcohol.
Yeah, because you're drinking it all at once. Your brain, like I remember my cousin, her husband, like they drank a bunch and like got in a fight at like a rodeo, and then like what was it like yeah, they're just insane. Like I drank one of the original ones, but I didn't drink it myself. It was like we were in 8th grade, and it was like we just split it between like 4.
Yeah, people. I remember how foul tasting it was too.
Yeah.
It was just every sip just tasted like a shot.
Yeah.
You know, but it was just 24 ounces in a can.
Yeah.
And then the can structure was pretty funny too, like the way that it was like camouflage print, but in those other colors.
Yeah, it's kind of like a wild, like almost the can is saying like, you're going to war.
Yeah, bro. Bro, so go ahead.
Well, then there was that thing we did in college. This is when Four Loko got toned down. Or we did like, dude, I was crazy. Like we had tailgates, and we would do. You could get a keg of Four Loko, but this is when they took the caffeine out, so it was like watered down. They're still crazy, by the way. But it was like we had a keg of Four Loko, and I remember one day I was like, I used to drive for Uber before tailgates just to make a little extra money. So I like drove for Uber, took an Adderall, hit the 4 LOKO cake, started doing blow, drinking, doing whippets, and I'm like, how did I not die? I'm like, my heart was like, what is going on?
Wait, while you were driving? What?
No. I've never driven drunk. But I'm saying this was like at the tail, like after I got done driving, took the Adderall, and then just like.
Yeah, the amount of things us youngins have done to our body at that particular time is like, what was going on? And then wake up the next day and like be fine.
Yeah, and I'd be like surprised my dick wouldn't work, and I'm like, why can't sex work out? I'm like, what?
Dude,
why would I Taco Bell all day and like, yeah. Oh yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your podcast and how you started it, and you got quite a few episodes, and I'd say you probably being one of the only guests who have had a comparable maybe amount of podcast episodes and how long you've done it. So let's talk a little bit about that, bro.
Yeah, dude. So I've been doing it like, I always wanted to do it. And then COVID, when I was like, oh, I literally can't do stand up. And I was living in Florida. So I moved up here for 8 months. COVID happened. I was with my ex-girlfriend. I was like, let's just go back to fucking Florida. Like, why would we be in New York?
And she was from Florida too.
Yeah.
And it just ended up not panning out.
Yeah, we're super close still, but we're in a weird like sort of break. Anyway, we were together for 7 years, whatever. We went back to Florida, and then I was staying with my brother, and dude, so first off, these were like great days of my life, because it was like my brother, he had a friend who worked in like landscaping, so I'd like work for him to make extra money. Then I would do or there was no stand-up, so I was doing that, and then my other friend lived there. I was like, dude, let's do a podcast, because I had the equipment, and we would just kind of get drunk and smoke weed at his place, or do some sober ones here and there. And it's so funny too when you listen back to your old episodes. You're like, this was terrible. Like I got better at being less nervous about like looking like a bad person, and then also like less nervous about constantly trying to make it funny and just trying to enjoy the conversation. It's like I am trying to be funny, but I'm also like trying to be funny in the way I would with my friends, where I'm not trying to impress them. I'm just trying to make.
Yeah, it's got to be a little bit of both.
Yeah. It's like I'm just trying to make the jokes happen, let me look a certain way. And we had crazy guests at first, though. We had a transracial woman on who was born white, this German woman, full head to toe blackface surgery. Yeah, so insane, so wild. Yeah.
Transracial.
Yes, this is episode 3 of the podcast. Yeah.
So they went from man to a woman.
No. Just the race change. So she was born.
I don't think I've ever heard of a transracial person.
Like Rachel Dolezal would be like an example of that.
Who's that?
She was this woman who was like very involved in the NAACP, and then they found out she was not black.
Yeah. But she's known as a transracial?
Yeah.
So it's when you switch from white to black or black to white?
Yes, or just like any...
So I guess, trans, because you're...
Transitioning from one to the other.
I was going to say transforming, but
yeah, transforming. Well, she also has like the 3rd biggest tits in the world.
The water's all you. Third?
Yeah.
You can push it. Push it a little forward.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, it's got a little lenience there too. So this woman who was on the 3rd episode of your podcast has the 3rd biggest boobs in the world, and is transracial.
Yes, and she's.
Do you have a picture of her?
100%.
Yeah, you pop it up, or you're just telling me I'll pop it up.
But I kind of do want to just see your reaction.
Yeah.
So, it's very funny too, because she has like her normal name and then her African name. So her name is Martina Big, but she goes by Mailaka Kumbwa, because that's like when she went to Africa. Yeah.
Who gave her that name?
I think it's like a self-report. Yeah. So this is her before, and this is her after. She looks like offensively
she's hot.
Yeah, giant boobs. And she's like a German woman, so she talks like this, and she's very sweet. She's like, yeah, I was born white, but on the inside.
How did you get her on the pod? And it says tanning addict.
Yeah. And that's her husband. Her husband also transitioned racially, so they're a white couple.
Wait, but she's like hot as a white woman.
I know.
Martina Big claims her hair is now naturally African.
Yeah, so she told me that she did not curl her hair. She said when she got the skin injections, her hair just started curling.
No.
Yeah, that's what she said. So, and by the way, this is all over Zoom. I didn't get to meet her in person. But
would you pay her like $50? How'd you get her?
Yeah. So I paid her $100, and I had one of my friends I can't just have 2 white guys interviewing her. So I had my friend who's a black friend, and he's very dark. So it was interesting seeing the contrast that she was like way darker than him, and he's like, he's like very black, and but it was interesting because it was like she starts talking, and then she leans back, and then you see these giant boobs, and you're like, whoa. And we had questions where like, how did you decide what shade you want to go? Like, is it like when you go in, like
they show you a color meter?
Yeah. I was like, is it like when you go in, like,
I wonder if that surgery is even allowed nowadays. Like, who would administer that?
Yeah, I forgot what country she said it was in. I think it was,
right.
Maybe she said Thailand. I know a lot of like transgender surgeries happen there. So I think maybe they're just like good at cosmetic surgeries there in general.
Interesting.
But I liked that was my third episode because I was like, but I realized though those guests are so much harder to do. Like, oh shit, sorry.
Who's hitting you?
Spam. I get so many of those.
I haven't gotten those in a long time. The spam calls.
Oh, that's dude. I probably 20 a day.
I wonder what that's from.
My number's on. I used to answer them and do funny voices, and then now I think I'm on a list of people who answers the phone. And now they're like,
shit. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah. They know that they're like, he'll pick up.
Yeah. But also, how many surgeries do you think you need to get to have the third largest boobs? You need to have like a few surgeries. You can't just go all like basketballs in one. You know?
Yeah.
I have to like have like stacks probably each 3 months or something.
Yeah, I think she probably had to move up with that. But it's so funny too because there's like she like went to Africa and it's just so funny like because nobody knows that she wasn't born black, but they're just this like woman with like giant tits and it's just so wild. But she I don't know. It's also interesting too. I think different countries have different racial dynamics. So like she's from Germany and like there's no black people in Germany really. I mean there's some amount. So like they don't have the same like maybe if she transitioned to being like Jewish there, it would be a big deal. But like the whole blackface thing isn't really like a concept outside of America, at least in most places. Because that's
not as like taboo, maybe.
Yeah, they don't have like that history of menstrual shows. So it's
right.
And it's funny too, because people want me to get on there and just be like, you're fucking wrong. I was like, no, like I'm a very open-minded person. I'm like, if you feel this way, I'm not going to argue that. I'm just curious to see if it comes from somewhere different. Yeah. Because it's hard to argue with when somebody's like, she's like, this is who I am on the inside, and I know I'm black, and I love it, and I'm happy being black. And I'm not going to be like, fuck you, bitch. I'm like, no, this is who you are, like, or at least who you feel happy being. So I'm like, yeah.
You ever think about going back to Florida? Like moving back there? Or no?
You ever think about going black?
Do you?
Yeah, no, I don't.
No, we're going back to Florida.
I'm for sure going back to Florida. Definitely probably 7 more years in New York and then go back to Florida because it's also expanding. Like it's like, there's so much land out there, dude. It's like my dad works in real estate and I've done the occasional work for him. And I'm like, there's just so much swampland out there. Like, it's just like, and I'm not saying we should destroy the Everglades, but like some of it.
Well, they're doing a big patch up apparently of the Everglades that they just started. Do you hear this? Like, there's like a $30 billion plan to fix the Everglades.
Oh, that's sick.
I just saw this news story on YouTube the other day.
That's awesome, yeah.
But I don't really know. What does that entail?
I mean, you could like this is the thing with Florida. It's like you have the big cities like Miami, Tampa, Orlando, stuff like that. And then you just have a bunch of just land with nothing going on.
It's insane. Like when you fly over, you really get the full picture of that. Yeah.
And not all of it's the Everglades. It's like some of it is just like run down shit. Like it's like some of it's just like a random shopping center with like nothing going on in it. And so in my mind, I'm like, yeah, Disney World Part 7. Let's do it. I'm like, and in my mind, I love it. Now, people are going to argue with me about this, but it's like, in my mind, that is a castle. Like, it's like, I know it's like made out of plastic or whatever, but in my mind, I'm like, oh no, you still built a castle.
How many times did you go to Disney World?
I've probably been to Disney like 3 times, but Universal probably like 15. Like, I would go to Universal.
What's the main difference? I know they both have rides. I've been to Disney World, I think once, maybe once, but I've never been to Universal. I don't believe.
So Universal is more like a little more adult. Like, okay, so Disney has Epcot, which I haven't done drinking around the world there yet, which I've heard is a blast.
What's that?
Epcot is like all these countries, and drinking around the world, so you just grab a drink in each country around.
How many drinks is that?
Oh, I think it's like 20, or maybe somewhere between 12 and 20.
Bro, but the thing is, like, drinking and boiling in the sun is probably my nightmare. You don't mind it? I mean, you're from Florida. You didn't notice it.
Yeah, so I got drunk recently, went to Coney Island, and it was the best day of my whole life.
was when it was warm, though?
Dude, yes. We went in June, like last June, me and my buddy, and our dude.
It's the best day of mine. Sorry.
Dude, literally, it was really sad to realize that, like, I don't think I'll be happier than being hammered on a roller coaster. I'm like, it was the most exhilarating thing.
What's it called?
We rode all of them.
I went on that one that felt like it was gonna
the wooden one.
Yes. What's it called?
Oh, I don't know.
That's the main one.
Yeah, I forgot what it's called.
This is bad. Can we look it up? You ever fun?
Yeah. Wooden roller coaster.
The Cyclone, duh.
Yeah.
The Cyclone. Yeah. I imagine that they have like every week they just put in more screws to make sure it doesn't collapse.
Yeah. Dude, and that's like, I've done those. I've been to like, you ever been to like a circus or like a carnival? And those are the sketchy ones too, where it's like, you don't know who's running things.
Yeah, and it's like that thing. I went on one of those rides. You like roller coasters like that?
I love all of them. Yeah. But I think it's also like my childhood. There was like a lot of that. Like we would go. That was the most exciting thing, and it was always nice having something to look forward to. I'd be like, oh, we're gonna go to. But it also kind of spoils you because it's like you have so much. Like I had an amazing childhood. Like it was like so much fun.
Love to hear that.
Yeah, but then it kind of dips off at some point when you're like 24 and you're like, New York's cool, but I'm like, I don't know. I used to like. Yeah, I don't know. I had a very good childhood, adolescence, high school, college. All that was great, and things are coming back around. I'm doing better now, but yeah, it's like just a lot of endorphins really early on, and then so like certain things aren't as it's not as exciting. Then it's like I go to like a carousel ride. I'm like I've ridden the Hulk 100 times. Yeah.
Did you ever think about going to Rollins College in Winter Park?
No, so I would never. But as I grew up right by Rollins.
Yeah, so I looked at that for tennis briefly.
Yeah. No, I think it's like a
very
good school.
Good.
Yeah. Paul McCartney's like stepdaughter went there. Very nice school.
That's a random fact.
Yeah. Well, he'd go to this one church that my friends would go to, and they're like, dude, we're just like singing, and we're with Paul McCartney singing at church. I'm like, that's insane.
So random.
Yeah, it's like I'm getting a Beatles performance at church today
in Winter Park.
Yeah, but we go to those bars a lot. So like my hometown bars are the Rollins bars. So like that's where like Thanksgiving you go out. That's where all the people are gonna be. No, I didn't want to go.
You didn't want to stay like in the kind of neighborhood.
Yeah. And my brother went to University of Georgia because he wanted to like mix it up. I don't think he got into Florida State. So I was like, oh, I wanted to go there. But then I realized I would just be him junior. And I didn't get into Georgia. And I was really depressed. But then I went to Florida State and just had the most amazing 4 years. And I started doing stand-up there, which had a pretty bad stand-up scene. Like I could get up twice a week, maybe. Like some weeks I'd get up like 5. But I've done a lot of like, I would do a lot of weird open mics where it's like, a music open mic, and I'm like, hey, can I do comedy here?
That's pretty unique, though, that you got involved that early of that age,
Yeah, when I was 20 is when I started stand-up.
Oh, wow.
But I started writing jokes in high school, and I didn't know how it worked. I thought I was like, okay, well, I'll send these jokes to Comedy Central and see if I can do a special. I didn't know that it worked. And then I knew, Mark Gagnon?
Yeah.
So I knew him, and he sort of like, I saw that he was doing stand-up, and I was like, oh, how does it all kind of work? And so I like, sort of asked him about the open mics. So when I was back in town visiting family over...
He grew up in the same town as you?
Yeah, he grew up in Orlando. Yeah. So I I texted him about some stuff. So I figured out where I could do like an open mic over like summer going into junior year of college. And I invited a bunch of friends out, and I would kill because my whole friends would be the audience. And then I stopped inviting and I started eating so much shit. But I thought I was like so good at stand-up when I started because I was like, dude, I'm doing awesome. And then my friends would stop coming up, and I was like, oh, I suck at this.
When did you move to New York again? I know you briefly said it.
So I did 2 years in Florida, and then I moved here 5 years ago.
And you love it?
I love it now. I hated it in the beginning.
Why?
So I think the people here are really mean. Not always, but like it was a lot to deal with like people being mean. I think I was here a lot during COVID. Like I went back there for a little bit, but I came back here and people were kind of wild here over COVID, and that was hard to do. And then it was just so much stimulation. I knew Dan Carney. That was the only person I knew here. So in my mind, like I visited here before I moved here. I stayed here for a summer. I took like screenwriting classes, and I was like, I love New York City. I can't wait to move here. And then I got off the plane when I moved here, and I was like, what the fuck did I just do? This is terrifying. I know nobody.
But you moved here with your girl or no?
Not immediately. So she came like 2 months after me, but the plan was for her to move up as well. And then, my first apartment was like horrendous. It was like Port Authority, and like, I remember my dad like helped me move in and got like claustrophobic. He's like, I can't be in this building anymore.
It's just you open the door and it's just you fall into your queen bed or twin bed.
Yeah, no, it was railroad style. So like you just go in like just a kitchen and then like this tiny hallway, and like bed touches each end.
Yeah.
And I still invite friends to hang out like in my hallway. And they're like, this isn't fun. We're just like sitting in chairs, like basically like knee to knee. And I had like mice and shit like that. It was funny too because it's like the most I've ever paid in rent in New York, but the worst apartment I've ever had. And like, because if you don't live here, you can't choose the same way. It's like you don't have the ability to like really search around apartments and like understand the areas and stuff like that. So it was just like a last minute decision to do that. And but then like it took me probably 2 or 3 years to start liking New York City. Like it took but I knew I was like, I want to be here. I love stand up. This is what I want to do. So I'm not leaving no matter how much it sucks. And then now it's like, I love it because I have a sense of community. I have like different friend groups. So I have like friends that don't do comedy that I hang out with all the time. And then I have comedy friends. And then it's like you go to Greenwich Village and I'm like, oh, all my friends are here. And then guys like you that I don't know that well, but I'm like, oh, I'm excited to see this guy. You know what I mean? It's like and then you build more friendships and then you get into clubs and then it's like, and then the bookers change and you stop getting into those. But it's like, it's just, yeah, it's what it is. And
comedy is like ever changing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like every 3 to 6 months, there's like some new action. Maybe if it's a new club, new booker, like you said, maybe a new person who moved from LA, who's now in the mix. But I think the beautiful thing is like making from the West 4th Street subway, it's like making the right on McDougal, and then seeing a couple Barkers I know on the corner from, the Grizzly Pear. And then I'll see the guys at Greenwich Village and then out front of Grizzly Pear, walk around the comedy shop, see the guys at the Cellar. But yeah, that community of like 1,000 feet. It's super interesting.
And that's where, dude, I used to be crazy with barking, dude.
Let's talk about that.
Oh, that shit was insane. So it was like, I used to bark.
And describe for maybe the non-comedy fans who don't know what you're talking about.
I don't want to say the club just because I don't want to get anybody in trouble with anything, but but I used to bark for this club and I still perform there. I love the place, but I would do half my ticket sales. You get to keep half your ticket sales. So I'd make so much fucking
money. How much were the tickets and you get to keep half?
They were like 10 to 20 and you could keep...
Depending on the night.
Yeah, so like I would walk away with like $900 a week because I would do 20 shows. And now they've changed the system so you can't really do it that way. But you now have to like... They changed the avail so they even out who barks when. But it was like I would be out there every single day. I would do 3 shows on weekdays and 4 shows on weekends. And dude, it was crazy. And you're just hanging out with homeless dudes because that's just like who's out there for hours and hours. So like you would know them by like name, and you
still some of the same guys out there.
Yeah. They live forever. It's crazy. Dude, I remember one time like I've had like a knife pulled on me, like twice. You'd have crazy shit happen, like, and you just see wild shit, and then comics in the Cellar come and talk to you, like. I remember when I first like started doing it, like Shane Gillis would come up and start talking to me. And it's like a young comic that's like the coolest thing in the world because he was super nice. And then you just talk about the thing. And then you'd accidentally bark at people. Like I'd accidentally try to get Chris Rock to come to a show because also a lot of this is during COVID, so they'd have masks on and you couldn't tell. But yeah, it was crazy. I spent so much of my time on that. It's like I would spend 8 hours on my Saturday trying to get people to come to a comedy show because it was 2 hours per show and I would do 4 shows. And it was.
And you do a 10-minute spot on the shows, or
if I'm lucky. Yeah, there was a lot of like 5, 6s, but like for the most part, I was doing 8. And then it was crazy. There was this one homeless guy. My favorite thing he would do is he'd set up a barricade on the street, and it wasn't a real barricade. There was a barricade to the side for like when special events that I don't know what the police department was doing with it, but it was just a side barricade. And this guy would set up a barricade and then start charging people for him to open the barricade up. So people would just be paying this homeless guy to
drive through.
Yeah. And he'd just be making money doing that.
No way.
Yeah.
Cash only?
Yeah. And then this dude one time, it was so funny. He punched somebody in the face at Cafe Reggio and he was getting arrested. And because like I was friendly with all these guys, he's like, dude, tell them I didn't do it. And I was like, I'm not saying shit. I'm staying out of this. And because of like bail reform or whatever, they don't keep a lot of homeless people. They just let them out. So 20 minutes later, he comes back. He's like, you weren't fucking there for me, man. And I was like, fuck. And then the next morning, he sort of like relaxed. But my favorite thing he said is he's like, yeah, I used to work for the CIA. So I can get out of jail for free. I was like, really? I'll always like play along. I was like, what's going on? And he showed me a document. He's like, I show this to them and I get out of jail. But it was just his write-up with his court date. So like in his mind, he was showing them like his write-up that says like you have to come to court, and he thought that was like a ticket to like
get out
of jail. Yeah.
All right, which theoretically is. But
maybe but it's not. It's not a CIA appointment.
That's like, nuts, bro. So how many years were you barking that intensely for?
That was like 2 years, and then like, dude, my schedule was crazy. I used to work reception, so what I would do is I was like
at a particular club.
No, I do reception at Tower 7 of World Trade Center.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I would like, I'd have to be there at 8:30. So this is my daily routine. It was so insane. It's like I'd wake up at 7 or 7:30, take an Adderall. This is when I would take it more. I don't really take much anymore. Go to work, take a Celsius, throw in Zins all day. And this is just because I was so sleep deprived. Drink a second Celsius at lunch. Go to the or whatever.
Don't bleep it out.
Yeah.
Don't bleep it out. I got you.
At 6:30, bark for, we'll figure it out. Bark for the 8, 10, and midnight. Get home at like 2, fall asleep at 3, get 4 hours of sleep. And that was like 5 days a week for like, that wasn't years. That was like 3 months of that. And then like day job switched. And then sometimes I would like lose a day job from my podcast. I got fired from day jobs because of my podcast a couple times.
Because of some of the stuff you were saying?
Yeah. They didn't tell me specifics, but I'm like, I get it. They see a blackface lady and they're like, we don't want this guy. But it was so weird they fired me for reception because like my podcast isn't big enough for them to like.
Well, what did they see though? Was this like when it was posted on Instagram, or somebody would see it on YouTube and then just bring it to the attention of the higher ups?
Yeah, I think what happened was like my Instagram was not on private, and they were like, they brought me in, and I thought I was getting promoted, so I was all cocky. I was like, I think you mean Mr. Michael Good, and they're like, your comedy content does not align with our company image, so we have to let you go. And I was like, damn. And my only comedy content was my podcast because I don't really post stand-up clips. So I was like, oh, this is what it was. And then another job, which is so dumb because like they're not gonna listen, they're not gonna like hear me on the phone. They're like, wait, is this Michael Good of the Morning Good podcast? They're like, I know that voice anywhere. It's like nobody's gonna know it's me. But another job fired me, and they it was like right after I got the job, they just looked me up. And they saw a clip of me talking about getting fired from my podcast. And they were like, oh, if another company would fire you, we're just going to fire you.
Yeah, like right away.
But you could sue for that. But also, like, the thing is, like...
Wait, how could you sue for it, though?
There's a comic, I forgot his name, but he, like... They found his stand-up online, and they fired him. And then he, like, sued for... I forgot what it was, but he sued, got a bunch of money. I read a whole article about it. I know the guy. I forgot his name, but... and he got his job back. But I was like, I'm not going to go. Because my podcast, I've said so much shit that I'm like, they can easily be like, this is sexist, this is this or that. But it's, yeah. So, yeah, no, it was, that was a crazy time. But I would do that much barking for like 2 years, but I wouldn't like, I had different day jobs here and there, and I'd be in between day jobs and stuff like that.
Do you think the barking has helped you in other aspects of comedy and life?
Yeah, dude, because it was like, first off, just confidence, because you're just like comfortable talking to anybody. It really allowed me to like kind of stand my ground a little bit, because people are so mean to you. People will be like, no, I don't want to go to your stupid fucking The amount of times people said, I'd rather kill myself than go to your comedy show was like, I heard that like 50 times. And you're doing it in the rain and the cold. And then like, the funniest is like on stage, if somebody heckles you, they're stuck in the room with you. So you have a little bit of time to think about it. But barking, they'll say some shit and walk away. So you have to think of it like immediately. Or else like, dude, somebody be like down the street and you'd be like, yeah, well, I bet your dad didn't love you. And they can't even hear you. So you're like, I got to be as fast as I can so that I could like get back at these people.
Yeah, it gets you quick on your feet.
Yeah. And then a lot of it's just people saying the same thing. They're like, my life is a comedy show.
Yeah, or I'm a comedian.
Yeah. Or my favorite shit is people will go, there's always like some kind of cocky guy with his guy friends. And he's like, bro, put me on stage. I'm funny in all the comics.
Yeah.
And I'll do is I'll go, 100%. We're going to get you on stage. Come with me. And then we start walking towards the club. And never once has anybody followed through. They immediately just start backing out. And then I just call them a pussy in front of their friends. And then
that's a great move.
Yeah,
sure. All right, let's go. Come on.
Yeah. And I'd have them like probably like they never get like past a block towards the club. They'd be like, you know what? I'm not really. And then their friends start making fun of them. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought.
You know what's interesting about stand-up? People either think that they could easily do it or people are terrified. There's no real in-between. And the people who are in-between end up probably doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the best point. Yeah, because it's like, I wasn't just like, oh, I could for sure do this.
Yeah, I was always kind of just like in between. I was like, yeah, I could do it. I see like people, I'm like, hey, I'm funny, but I don't know if I want to do it.
Yeah,
it takes a few years, and then you finally build up the courage to do it, and you're like, all right, I could do it.
Yeah, and I was never like, I will for sure be amazing at this. I was like, I'm going to do this and see how it goes.
Yeah.
But the idea of I'm better than that, or that's like beyond, because like, the funniest is the admiration. Like randomly, people are just like, "I don't even know how you do it."
You're like, "That's the hardest job I've ever heard." Yeah. I'm like, "Oh, all right, okay."
Yeah.
I love when people say that, man. It does give me like a hint of pride when people are like, "Bro, I don't know, it's the hardest job of all time."
Yeah.
So, and also being a New York City stand-up like we are, it's just like so many ebbs and flows. You know, you could have a great set, and then an hour later not have a good set, and then you're like, "Fuck, is this what's the deal here?" You know?
Yeah. It's confusing, and it's like. And New York's so good too. It's like I moved here and threw away like so many of my jokes because there's so many good comedians here. I think it's the best comedy scene in the world, but it is like the entry level of it is the worst comedy scene in the world because it's the hardest to like get up, and like there's like so much competition, and there's so much like there's not a lot of state. You have to work so hard to get through the door just to even get into to get in front of an audience. You have to work hard. So it's like either
oh my God, bro.
Yeah,
that for real. I mean, it takes a long time,
dude. I thought I was gonna bark forever. Like in my mind, I was like, "There's no way I'm ever not doing it." I was like, I couldn't even picture in my head not doing it. I was like, "This is just what my life is gonna be until one day it's not." And then now that's like years behind me. I'm like, "Holy shit! I stopped doing that." Yeah.
What would you say to other comics moving to New York and what their mindset needs to be in terms of getting to that point where they're performing in front of an audience? Because I started here.
Yeah. I think it's the best place to start because it's like I've seen a lot of people. I mean, do whatever the fuck you're gonna do because it works differently for everybody. But I've seen a lot of people move from other scenes. They do it for like 7 or 8 years, and they move from other scenes, and then they start from the very bottom, and they're surprised that they didn't just immediately like. They thought, oh, I've been doing this like 7 years, so I'll move to New York, and the next thing you know, everybody will just see how good I am, and I'll just start working all the clubs. And it's like that occasionally works, but for every one person that works, there's like 30 that it doesn't. And then it's like, so the earlier you start here, the easier it is for you to move in places, I think. So it's like I moved 2 years into comedy here, and it was like, I moved here, and then it's like try to find a way to bark or start a show, and it's like that's a great way to do it. Because I think like the hard part is like I've seen so many people move from other scenes. They've been doing it for like 7-ish years. It doesn't.
You come here, start all over.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh well, this sucks, and then they end up moving somewhere else, and it's like, well, and it's like now it's like something will happen where if you start early on, then now I go to hang out at a comedy club, and I know half the people there because I've been in New York for 5 years, so it's easier because I like went through open mics with like a lot of these people. It's like I was doing open mics with like Dan Carney. And then some people that are doing really well, dude. I used to go to Marcello's open mic at the Grizzly Pear at 3 p.m. It's like now I know Marcello, who's on SNL. Not that we're like best friends, but I'm like, oh, all these people. It's like now if I go to hang out at a place, it's not awkward because I started with all these people in this sort of like, yeah. So I'd say move here as soon as possible, but like, and just realize you're not going to be the least funny person here. I mean, that'd be insane. If you were the least funny person here, then you shouldn't do stand-up.
And I think it's definitely changed the landscape over like the last probably 3 or 4 years with social media. Like if you do come here and you've been doing stand-up for, like you said, 7 years, and maybe in another market that's obviously not as big as New York or Chicago or maybe Miami, something like that, people see like, okay, you have a base and maybe you can start to work at clubs. But I would say it's probably the best place to start is here.
And I would even see a mix sometimes. I have a friend who's 100,000 followers and moved here and had trouble getting into clubs, and he's a fucking great comic, like hilarious, and then just
from Florida, from Orlando.
Yeah, and he had trouble like when he first moved here, like getting into places, and it's like, dude, this guy's so fucking funny.
Yeah, it's just people, because clubs have, clubs, I don't want to say they have their favorites, but they have people who are going up every week, and it's, to add another person to the mix, it could be difficult.
Oh, totally, yeah. But it is interesting how much the open mic scene changed from like when because when I started here, it's like, I don't know if it was like for you, but online wasn't a thing. So I was like, oh, everybody was just so focused on being the best comic. So it was interesting in that sense.
Yeah, now
like,
you gotta do everything.
What's up?
You got to do everything now.
Yeah. And it's like, now it's like, okay, I used to do 7 open mics, not every day, but I did that one time and I was like, that's so cool. But now I'm like, that was pointless. That's like not a good use of time. But I think when you're early on, a lot of open mics is good. And I think some of the open micers now probably do less open mics than they need. It's like, they need to find a way to balance it and not be like, okay, let me post a clip of me doing comedy at every open mic. It's like maybe write and do other stuff. But as I said, I don't know, everybody has a different thing, and the thing I hate is telling people what to do because I hate being told what to do. So I'm like,
agreed, bro. There's so many different ways to do it, especially in nowadays when there's many different ways to make it.
Yeah.
Whether it's through social media, whether it's through some form of improv, TV show, hosting something, straight up stand up, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon. There's a lot of ways to make it, as opposed to 10 years ago where it's just the Comedy Central half hour,
Yeah. And that's like, and that's what got me on stand up. Like I watch Comedy Central half hour all the time, but I used to watch it thinking that was their first time trying stand up. Like I thought, I just didn't understand how things worked. I thought it was like, oh, this is Aziz Ansari doing all the jokes he thought of this week. And
maybe,
but I would throw out so much shit. And I was like, because I'd write jokes. And when I was like 15, I was like, this isn't good enough for that. And then eventually, what really pushed me to get on stage was my mom got my dick pics through the iCloud. Yeah, I got like a new phone in college, and I was sexting with this girl and saying like the wildest shit, like I'm gonna put my tongue in your ass, like all this stuff, and we were just getting crazy. And she played tennis.
This girl?
No, my mom.
Okay.
And she left her phone in her bag for like an hour and a half, and they were just building up. So she was just getting like dick pic, naked picture of the girl saying she's gonna do this, me doing that, and for like an hour. And it took her a while to find it because the way it was sending from her phone. So it was like sending as if she's like, why is this? And she figured it out at some
Jane Good.
Yeah. She figured it out at some point. I don't know if she recognized my penis or what, but she, dude, it was fucking so crazy. And then I got a call from my dad, and he's like, your mom is getting every single one of your text messages right now. So I like freaked out. I went to the AT&T store, and the guy was so relaxed. He's like, sometimes this happens. I was like, no, this does not happen sometimes. Yeah. Like my life is falling apart. And none of it was funny in the moment. I was like, this is serious. I'm never going to be able to look my mom in the face again. Yeah. I'm just done having it.
That's insane, because that's like one of my first bits was when like the tennis team had a group chat with just the bros on it, and then the one with the bros and the coaches on the team. Oh, and God. I sent a pic to the wrong group chat.
Oh, yeah.
That was like one of my first full like 2-minute bits. That's
funny. Yeah. Well, because that's like because we're probably like we probably were both alive during that weird just technology being a thing. So like we don't know how to properly use the thing.
Yeah.
And dude, it was so bad. It was like my mom wouldn't talk to me for like months, and then my dad was talking to my brother, and he was like, yeah, I grew up in the 70s. I thought I saw some weird stuff, but your little brother is one sick, freaky kid or something like that, because the text would say it. And then I was like, this is so funny. And initially it was not funny, but I was like, this is so funny that I have to like talk about this on stage. Right. And that was like my first routine. And now I don't do a lot of stories because they're just harder to do.
Yeah.
But that's what like pushed me to go on stage. I was like, all right, this is like objectively a funny story. So I was like, I could talk about this.
Does your family still live in Winter Park?
Yeah. Yeah, my mom got over it. So
she like moved out of the country.
Yeah,
that was it. That's insane, bro. Yeah. But you had a great childhood. Now you're in New York for the next 7 years or so, and just focusing on touring a little bit more, or what?
Yeah, I try to get out of town as much as I can, and it's cool with Florida because there's like a lot of like, it's such a giant state that it's like, I went down there last week. I think I was telling you, I drove like 25 hours doing shows just across the state.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, but it was fun. Like I enjoy doing that. I just got a little run down, but so I try to get out of New York as much as I can, because like I think what I've realized is like the clubs in the city are only going to give me a certain number of spots each month. So it's like I could focus on getting in other clubs, which I will do during the week, but on weekends and stuff like that, it's like I should try to get out and like fill the time so that I'm on stage almost every single night. So I was like in Vermont 2 nights ago, and then I think I saw you Monday, right? Yeah, today's Monday. Sunday. I saw you yesterday. Yeah.
But I also saw you before that, and you were telling me you went to Vermont, or was that Saturday that you went to Vermont?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, so I saw you Sunday. I think I don't know. I just think you get better at stand-up for being in different cities and like just on different stages, because like I think the thing with New York is when you get past the certain clubs, you get really comfortable in those rooms, and then like even just the lighting, the stage height, you get too routine. So I think traveling just makes you
that's
better.
an interesting point.
Yeah, and just even like the different lighting and a different kind of stage, like it just sets you off in a way, and then uncomfortability makes you better. So I think that, and just trying to do longer sets and just do more time, which is like such a different animal. You know what I mean? It's like in New York, it's like 10, 15-minute sets, and then it's like you go out somewhere else and you're doing like 30 or 45, and you're like, oh, okay, like I got to like structure this in a way that's not all like just straight sex jokes, you know?
What do you think you're at right now? You think you have an hour?
No, I lie about it though. Like I'll tell people I could do an hour. I can't do it.
Yeah, stretch it out a little bit.
Yeah, I think I have a really strong 25 that I like a lot, and then a bunch of jokes I don't like, and then a bunch of crowd work. But it's so funny too, because it was like I did 45 twice a week ago, and then this week I had to stretch to do 30 just because it was a harder crowd. You know what I mean? It's like you blow through material faster if they're not laughing. So like, and some crowd work, you try to do crowd work and they're like, not going to say a
We're
word
not
to you.
doing
And you're
this.
like,
Yeah,
you're giving
yeah.
me nothing. In the
Tonight will be the first time on Margarita Monday that I'm doing 20 minutes. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done the most amount of time I've ever done is 27 minutes.
Yeah.
But tonight, we'll see how it goes. Maybe sprinkle in a little crowd work in the beginning, but I'm going to be closing out that show. And also, we got to get you on Margarita Monday.
Dude, I'd love
one
to
of
do
these
it, man.
days.
Yeah,
Free show. But guys, today being Thursday, you do need to get to the next Margarita Monday show this April 22nd. It being Passover, I won't be there because I'm Jewish. But the next Margarita Monday, and then every Monday in May and June, and then eventually I'll probably take a Monday off here in July or some point June. But yeah, we got to get you on the show, man.
Dude, I'd love to do it.
Cool, dude. Cool. Before we wrap up, Michael, got anything else to say? Got something to plug or what, bro?
Yes, please listen to the Morning Good podcast. Not every episode's great, but there's ones that
There's
I
a lot of
love.
bangers.
Yeah.
No, anytime I see clips, it looks like you guys are having a good time.
Yeah, dude, come on, dude. I'd love to have you on.
I would love to
It's
come
a
on.
blast, yeah. And Morning Good podcast on YouTube, Michael Good Comedy on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. And you know what? If you say you heard me on this podcast, I'll follow you back on Instagram because I don't care about my ratio.
Let's go.
Yeah. But if you just don't want me to follow you back, then just follow me and I won't follow you back. Because some people don't want to be, they're like, I'm a mom in Ohio. I'm like, that's fair. I don't have to follow you back. But if you want extra follows, I'll follow you back if you say you heard me on here. So yeah, thank you.
Love it. Michael,
Yo,
dude,
take care,
thanks
bro.
so much for coming
Yeah,
on.
of course.
Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. And we'll see you next time. Peace.